Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and it's my pleasure and honor to stand to speak tonight to M456 and to draw attention to the palliative care needs and the end-of-life care needs of many, many Canadians. And I do want to say to the mover of this motion, I do appreciate that it is a motion and not a bill. It's a personal thing that I believe that we can accomplish more in private members' time with motions than we do with small changes to legislation. This one is a bigger picture issue, and I think it's very important that it's been brought forward. As we know, the senior population in Canada is growing, and by I think 2012 we'll have over 5 million seniors in Canada, which is about 15% of the population, Mr. Speaker. And I think, based on what I've read, I believe that that number may even double within the next 15 to 20 years. And that's because of there's been a tremendous amount of advancements in medicine and other factors that allow Canadians to live longer, Mr. Speaker. And it's an important piece for us to be ready for that aging population. Even though many seniors today are very active in their older years, and I think that's very important. A few weeks ago I had a bill on obesity and on diabetes, on staying active, not just for youth but also for seniors, and I think that's very, very important. Today's motion before the House draws some attention to the role of family caregivers, and Stats Canada study revealed that family and friends provide 80 to 90% of the care for ill or disabled persons in our community. It's important to note, Mr. Speaker, that 1/4 of these caregivers are seniors themselves and are helping other seniors, whether their own spouses or family members. It can only be expected that this will only increase with the increase in baby boomers. And at this point, Mr. Speaker, I know other speakers have made this motion a bit of a personal piece, and I'd like to take this time to do that in two fronts. One, we are talking about hospice care, and when I was on the council at the City of Burlington in 1999, it came to our attention that there was a need in 1999 in Burlington for palliative care and a hospice care. And through the leadership of the mayor of the time, Mayor McIsaac, and the Rotary Clubs of Burlington, they came up with a plan. And by 2002, we have a 10-bed, I believe it's 10, could be 12-bed hospice, which was also able to exist because of the generosity of a number of Burlingtonians, including the Carpenter family, which was the lead donor on that, and the Carpenter Hospice, as we know today. That was in 2002. As of last check, they have served over 1,600 individuals who lived there in palliative care since its inception. I've been very proud of being part of the council that developed that. The other area that I think is very important to me as a family and my family is I'm very, very fortunate, Mr. Speaker, to have relatively long life in my family. In fact, my grandmother Wallace will be celebrating her 97th birthday in a week and a half or so. And we're very proud of my grandmother Wallace, and her mother, Granny LaSalle, lived to 100 years old. And, yeah, so I might be here for a while, but in fact, my Granny LaSalle worked on Parliament Hill. She was in the housekeeping employee, and she actually, there's a picture I've seen that she's cleaning the Prime Minister's offices. So we've been very fortunate. I want to wish my grandmother a very happy birthday. And what's important there is she actually lives with my uncle and aunt. She's lived with a number of my dad's brothers over the years, and they are providing the care and the support for her. We are very, very fortunate that Grandma Wallace is in really good health, and but that's not the same for every family. And in fact, for myself, I lost another grandmother just in the fall, and she was 96, and she was living with my parents for I think about 5 years. So I completely understand from a personal perspective the need for family members and the responsibility that goes along with end-of-life care and palliative care and care for seniors. The role that my Uncle Jack and my Aunt Marilyn are playing for my Grandma Wallace and my Uncle Miles and his wife Kathy played for my Grandma Wallace in past years, and then my own parents, Len and Cassie Wallace, for my Grandma Gray, have made a big difference in the quality of life for them as the years came closer to the end. I'm hoping, based on the 10% rule, that my Grandma Wallace will outlive her mother by about 10%. That will make her about 110 by the time she needs palliative care, and we're looking forward to that. Which also means that I will be the Member of Parliament for Burlington till about I'm 120. So there we go. But hopefully that I've moved on from there before then. Our government, though, Mr. Speaker, does recognize that the critical role that many Canadians play in caring for family and friends with health conditions or disabilities, in addition to balancing their own work, life, and family responsibilities. In 2012, over 8 million individuals, or about 28% of Canadian adults, provided unpaid care to family members or friends with a long-term or terminal health condition, disability, or aging needs. Of these caregivers, about 67% provided care to a senior. Most often, family caregivers providing end-of-life care were caring for their own parents, is what is happening in my own family. About 1 out of every 13 caregivers has provided this type of care in the last year alone. Our government recognizes that while family caregiving is both beneficial and rewarding, it can also be very difficult. Take, for instance, the negative health impacts experienced by caregivers, particularly among seniors caring for other seniors, and for those caring for individuals suffering from very difficult diseases like Alzheimer's and other related dementia. As these individuals become less capable of taking care of themselves, caregivers assume those responsibilities of their personal care. This gradual loss of independence often creates additional levels of stress and anxiety for both the person with the disease and the caregiver and the caregiver's family. We've also supported research that is helping inform decisions as to how best to help these families and caregivers of people with chronic and progressive conditions. Indeed, since 2006, we've invested more than $650 million in research in areas related to aging, and including more than $100 million in 2012 alone. Ongoing research supported by our government is also filling gaps, thank you, Mr. Speaker, filling gaps in knowledge and about rates of neurological conditions in Canada, including Alzheimer's disease. It's also looking at the efforts of individuals with these conditions and their families and other caregivers. Supporting Canada's caregivers presents an increasingly complex challenge, in part because of the varying needs of each recipient and because of the unique situation of each caregiver. Responding to such needs typically involves the engagement of several partners and at all levels of government, in all communities, and with the support of community-based organizations and employers. In addition to the above-mentioned research, the Canadian government has provided a variety of supports for unpaid family caregivers. For instance, the Economic Action Plan in 2014 announced our intention to launch the Canadian Employers of Caregivers Plan. This plan will engage employers to identify and implement cost-effective and promising workplace practices to better support employed caregivers. Mr. Speaker, I know my time is coming very much to an end, and I do appreciate the motion from the member opposite to highlight and bring attention to this issue of palliative care and life care, the important role of family members and family care for those who are in need, and for the other opportunities that need to be addressed, and work with other partners, including the provinces, and making sure that we have these services for the growing senior population that we will have over the next number of years. Thank you for your attention, Mr. Speaker.